Right. Give folks just another few minutes here. I'll do my best to monitor the chat, unlike last session where Dr. Veens was presenting and I was monitoring the chat, and that's why responses were coming back a little bit quicker. Just one person for this one, so responses might take just a little bit longer, but we are recording the meeting and that's recording the chat. So please don't hesitate to put your questions in there when we get to certain things. I'll try to stop along the way so that we can make sure we have those check-in points. Move things around here so I can still see the chat, still see what I'm doing. Quite the group here today. That's awesome. Thank you everyone for jumping on. All right. Just another 2 minutes because I did say in the other meeting that it started around 11:15, really getting started in earnest at 11:30. So give it just another minute here. And yes, the recording of this meeting will be shared. Absolutely, I understand. It's a long time this morning. We all jumped on at 9 o'clock for Dr. Veens's presentation, which was quite exciting to see the trajectory of AGM University. I understand it is Saturday. Some of us have some prior commitments, things like that. Please, if you have to leave the meeting before it's concluded, that's not a problem. These trainings are always sent out. The recordings are always sent out. And as I mentioned before, the learning resource centers and IT specialists at each campus have been working diligently in getting access granted and making sure everyone has the opportunity for one-on-one training, bigger training sessions, or the opportunity to view any of the approximately 40 sessions that we've done previously in either English or Spanish. This session will be in English because I don't want to offend everyone with my poor Spanish skills. But next Saturday, August 20th, we have 2 different sessions in Spanish being conducted by the incomparable Rafael Del Rio, one at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and one from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Those links can be sent back out. They're sessions that go over exactly what we're going to look at today, how to log into Canvas, how to navigate around. So he's got that happening in Spanish, and then he also has a number of sessions, as all the campus LRCs do, happening. Feel free to reach out to them. Feel free to touch base with them as far as getting, even individualized training or asking any questions. They are incredible support. They're very tech savvy, and they very, very adept at the changes between Blackboard and Canvas. All right, since we've hit 11:15, we'll kick off here. Now, I mentioned logging into Canvas, and as I mentioned in the previous meeting, the Blackboard credentials will be your credentials to log into Canvas. The kind of variable there is the tracking system banner. That's where classes are programmed and scheduled. That's where your academic director, when you've signed your contract to teach or accepted your engagement letter, will put your information to be programmed in as the instructor for each class. That's where Canvas pulls the login and enrollment data from. That way we're getting the accurate information. It's not a manual upload, so that we aren't introducing human error into this. It's pulling the information directly over from Banner and connecting faculty to their teaching roles in classes and students to their student roles in the classes that you're all instructing. Once we get into Canvas, any instructors and faculty right now are being manually added to the training courses and are being enrolled into the Faculty Advancement Center for Excellence, or FACE 100. Those courses will show up automatically on your dashboard. There's nothing else that you need to do. Once you're in the system, once you're in Banner as an instructor for a course, we're pulling that data in. So if your credentials are not working to log into Canvas, then thank you for requesting the transcript. If your credentials are not working for Canvas, then please make sure, one, that you're programmed to teach for the fall term coming up, and two, contact the IT specialist for your campus. They'll be able to assist and just clarify and make sure. We've seen some issues where it's not always the email, not always specifically your email, the same as your email. For example, I have an administrator login and an instructor login. They're two different things. And so if I logged in as one or the other, if I tried to use different credentials, I wouldn't have any luck. So perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for reaching out and making sure that you're reaching out to your IT contacts. If you're not programmed to teach just yet, that's all right. We're working on bringing those lists in. The problem is that we want to make sure that we're bringing over the right Active Directory account, so that we're not having random credentials or incorrect credentials or incorrect usernames, so that, again, you're not logging in under one name and wondering, where's my class for this term? We want to make sure that when you are programmed to teach, that information is just automatic and there's very little that you need to do on your end. So again, as you are programmed to teach, those will show up on your dashboard. You'll get, as you're invited and added to training sessions, you'll get those in your university email that says, you've been invited to join the class, and you can accept those for any training sessions, for any training courses, things like that. That happens through invites. Course enrollments where you're teaching happen automatically. All right. Yes, you will be able to do this training without Canvas. This absolutely is just a follow along. It's an info session. It shows how to walk through Canvas. You can follow right along by watching the screen. once you get in, again, this mimics the faculty walk to class course, which is your tutorial, which you don't lose access to. You have access to for as long as you teach here. You can watch this recording or follow along in the walk to class. They're set up like that so that if someone had to leave a session early, or if we've missed something, we're not missing information. Okay, so how do we log into Canvas? Well, we've talked about that, about the mechanics of logging into Canvas, but there are two different ways to log in. First would be going to agmu.instructure.com. I put that link in the chat of the last meeting. That's a fine way to get in. That's one way. If you fail to bookmark that or forget how to spell instructure, because I have known to put myself in here as instructor, you can always go to the AGMU website, and under quick links, you'll see Canvas. And there you go, same page, same exact page, whether I clicked through quick links or whether I went to agmu.instructure.com. So either way, that's totally fine. When you get to the login page, again, the first check would be to use your Blackboard credentials. If those, excuse me, aren't seeming to work for you, make sure that you're checking in with your IT team to ensure that the account is active, and also with the academic director to make sure that you're programmed in to teach for the upcoming PTs, whether it be 7-week, 5-week, 14-week, that's fine, or even some of the 8-week classes, as long as it's happening starting on August 22nd, then you should be active if you are programmed in. If you're finding that's not the case, please be sure to communicate with your academic director, your IT department. We'll make sure that you have the access absolutely to get in this week before classes start next week. Okay. Log in. And the first thing we see is the dashboard. So again, these courses are courses that either, as you can see, teaching FYIS for last term, this appeared automatically. I didn't have to do anything other than accept or complete my engagement letter, my contract. And as soon as I sent that back, Dr. Calloway, who leads not only our online English campus as the academic director, but also our product development and instructional design team, who have been working around the clock. Please believe me when I tell you they've been working tirelessly to make sure that this is as smooth a start as we can have. They are amazing. They are incredibly talented. These courses are top notch, but it is a lot of manual work. And so my hat's off to them. I know they might not be on this meeting. I'm sure they aren't. I hope they aren't. I hope they're working on classes, but they are doing everything they can to make sure your experience as a faculty member and the student's experience is top level. So my hat's off to them. I completed my engagement letter. That course just appeared because I was programmed in Banner. So the next time I logged into Canvas, I noticed that tile had appeared. About a week prior to the session start, we are provided everything is still on schedule, planning to roll that process starting on Monday. So for those of you who are in Canvas already, have access, are able to log in, and are programmed to teach for the fall term, you should start seeing classes appear on your dashboard ahead of student population. So that should be showing up automatically. And that's an exciting thing to see the course pop up, because then you have the tile, you can access it and do everything that that we're going through here that you can also do in the training course, but you can do it in a live course. So dashboard, what are we looking at here? Well, on the left-hand side, we've got our global navigation ribbon. Now, regardless of whether you're in a class, in an actual course space or not, the global navigation ribbon stays the same, has the same features, and we'll go into what each one of these are. Obviously, starting with your account, your dashboard, the courses, the calendar, the inbox, which does not signify your UAGM email inbox. very sorry, it's a downside of Canvas, but we'll talk about the differences there. Your page history. As we progress, we'll be using the Commons and the Canvas Studio just a bit more, but I do want to highlight the help section right here. So Canvas technical support. Canvas technical support is unable to assist with login issues because the login credentials are set by AGMU, so that's set by the university. However, any other aspect, technical aspect of Canvas can be resolved or assisted by Canvas technical support. And thankfully they have that line, both English and Spanish. You can report a content issue that goes to Dr. Calloway's team, lets them know that that issues might be popping up. The Canvas guides are connected here in both English and Spanish. And then there's also asking the community. There's training, additional training services that supplement what we've gotten here for specifically AGMU services. And so there's a lot going on here in Canvas, a lot of support to make sure that you're able, and the same thing extended to students, to make sure that you're able to feel comfortable in the space. So we've got our global navigation ribbon. Here, these tiles are our courses. So each one of these is a course that either I'm in as a student or I'm in as an instructor, or any combination of that, any access level. The course tile shows up here on my dashboard. Now, this is quite the busy dashboard. As you can see, I've got quite a few things on here. We're going to take a look at how we can clean that up and make sure that that you have the view of just what you want to see. You don't need to see all courses at once. You don't need to see every single course tile. It can get pretty colorful and a little confusing. So we can have, we can walk through how to remove classes or add past classes to your dashboard. On the right-hand side, we've got the to-do pane. As you can see, this is for grading submissions. These are for training courses, which is why there's so many next to them. However, when you get into your courses as instructors, when students start submitting assignments, if you're teaching in an online class, or if you have students submitting through Canvas in an on-ground class, you'll see these come up, and it'll tell you which class it's for. So it'll list the class code. It'll tell you, how many points are available and what the due date is. So you can see there are a number of submissions here between the walk to class courses and our brand new student orientation course. The Faculty Resource Center, or the Faculty Advancement Center for Excellence, is a course that, again, I don't have on my dashboard. I oftentimes get it confused with the faculty walk to class. So we'll look at that in just a moment, and I'll show you how to find a class that you can't locate on your dashboard as well. The coming up section, thanks to our calendar, which we'll take a look at, and the calendar is great, pulls in elements automatically from courses that you're in. So due dates, upcoming tasks, things like that, a little heads up view right here. And then recent feedback, this would be for when you've graded something and provided feedback, or if a student responds to an assignment on the grade book and gives you feedback or responds to a feedback point that you've made, that would show up here. So everything is just sort of a big heads up display here on the dashboard, showing us what our instance of Canvas has to offer. So we'll start really from the beginning. This is an online community. It's an online space. So even if you're not teaching an online class, even if you go into a classroom and they see your face every week, and students see you and can interact with you directly, remember that if you're sending announcements, or if you're grading assignments, or anything that you do in this space for any class, it's inside of this LMS. And so you should have a setup profile with a profile picture, and putting everything in there so that you're ready to have that conversation and really humanize this a bit more. So in your profile, under your account, you'll see you can add your profile picture. You can put in a quick biography, add any work appropriate links, your LinkedIn, if you'd like to, offer that to students. If you have a professional website that you own and you'd like to put it in there, absolutely, by all means, go ahead and put that right in there. You can do that by hitting the edit profile by clicking the ellipses right here. You see that comes right up. Put those links right in. Now, the other options here under your account menu, notifications, which we'll look at in a moment, user files. It's very important to make that distinction. These are files that you could pull and plug into any class. They don't exist solely in a class. They exist under your user account for you to use across classes and anywhere in the platform. Your settings, which we'll look at in a moment. E-portfolios. For those of you who have gone through an evaluation process with Director Lynette Caballero, you'll know portfolio is a word that we use quite often. These e-portfolios are going to be important to bring in those elements where either you've designed an assignment that you're very proud of, class has done work that you're very proud of, or anything in this digital Canvas space that you're proud of, you'll be able to use in your e-portfolio. Students are being asked in one of their first classes, FYIS, to set up their e-portfolio so that they can add content, positive assignments, things they're proud of throughout the course of their degree, and share that publicly. That there's an ability to share that as a public link so that they can use that when they're approaching job interviews, when they would like to, share that with instructors, with anyone really. These e-portfolios are going to be very important as we move forward. QR for the mobile login, that is for our Canvas app, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. There's an app for iOS, so Apple devices and Android devices. It's a great tool to help supplement what you do here. But as we're telling students, we're very clear about this, it is not meant to replace accessing Canvas on a computer. Mobile devices are great, notifications for messages or for assignment submissions from students. But I don't know if you want to write a whole discussion post or grade papers on a device this small. I start to think of carpal tunnel and ruining my thumbs that way. And then global announcements, any relevant global announcements that have been made will appear here. We're going to use that a bit more. We're using that right now with students to send out information about renewing their FAFSA or anything else, registering for future sessions. All of those are being leveraged. We haven't had a faculty global announcement just yet because we're waiting for all faculty to get into the system before we start using that as a communication platform. Wouldn't be fair to send out messages to faculty in a platform they didn't have access to or weren't aware of just yet. So our profile section, do want to go through settings very quickly. As you can see here, settings, there are some areas where you get to add additional content, and there are areas that are going to be preloaded for you. This information here, your full name, your display name, and all of this information is going to be populated for you. This is the data that comes over from Banner, from your account when you're programmed in as an instructor. The ways to contact is where we have the ability to add a little bit more if we choose to. It's not necessarily something that you have to do because your university email will always be the preferred contact method in Canvas. And that's so if a student sends a message, we don't have the issue of, well, that went to the wrong email address or that went to one that I don't check very often. And the same thing on the student end. If we message a student, we wouldn't want it going to an email account that they're not checking. So we've made it their university email, and everyone has the responsibility to keep on top of their university email. As you can see here, I've got two, my administrator login, which I've logged in under, and my faculty login. So again, that should illustrate that even though you might have one set of credentials for Blackboard, not to panic because they don't necessarily work for Canvas just yet. All about a clarification from the data that's coming from Banner so that we make sure that the course assignments are automatic. That's the piece that we do not want to jeopardize. We want to make sure that anything that you're programmed into to teach shows up, you have access to it ahead of time, you have the ability to see it. We would not want to have you logging in under one user account and saying, yeah, everything's fine, this is all great. And then all of a sudden find out that you're a week late to class because you didn't know you were programmed into something or forgot that you were programmed into something. So again, these will always be preloaded, and your university email will be your preferred method of contact. You have the ability as you go through Canvas to connect different resources. I've connected the Canvas for iOS app. So I've logged in on the app. So my account knows, to share information between those two areas and happen both in real time. I've connected my Google Drive to pull in documents from there. You can allow students to submit through there as well. And the same thing with Office 365. Right now, Office 365 is just a connection to OneDrive, which is great because how many of us, forget that we have a document, maybe we left it on the desktop of our computer at home and we get into the classroom and we panic. So we don't have that handout or we don't have what we wanted for class. If we've saved it in our OneDrive, which we should be doing automatically, connecting that to Canvas would be able to pull that in, and crisis averted would be all set. As Dr. Veens announced in the semester meeting, new email is coming. And what we're trying to make sure happens is as we build our new online library and bring on the new email, that we're really only doing this work once. We don't want to make this messy for students or for faculty to have to log into a number of places. We want sort of one chaotic event where everyone logs in. When that happens, when we change over from UAGM to AGMU for our email, we'll be expanding the services that are connected to Canvas through Microsoft. And that would specifically mean, in this case, Teams. That will be one platform we'll be able to use for class meetings, for one-on-one time with our students, for office hours. That will be integrated as we progress. A lot of this is new uncharted territory because, as Dr. Veens mentioned, we're really kind of establishing ourselves separate from Sistema and making sure that we are standing on our own. And with that comes a number of positive changes, but everything's a progress and everything is tasks. So we're taking it step by step. Okay. So those are our approved integrations and our registered services. Sort of the last area I'll discuss in our profile or our account menu, as you can see, that's where we're at, is the notification settings. Now, this is important. We really want to make sure that everyone knows where this is. Great question, Professor Carrasquillo, about new integrations. So when new integrations become a possibility, they will be announced. We'll be able to let everyone know, hey, you can now click this, you'll see it, and we'll see that when we get into the class navigation menu where those exist, and you'll be able to log in and connect those accounts. But remember, anything that we want to connect through Canvas here, aside from that Google Drive, that's really one of the only areas that is a personal connection. Anything else would pretty much be connected through our university email. Okay. I see Professor Pena, you've raised your hand. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Question. What's the trend last week? And we were told that we're supposed to do online classes through the big blue button. So
yes, absolutely. Big Blue Button is still right now the platform for class discussion or class meetings, hybrid sessions, video presentations. All of that happens through Big Blue Button at the moment. As I mentioned, Teams will be integrated as we move forward. Once we have our AGMU email addresses, those will be connected. All right. So we'll go through Big Blue Button in just a little bit. I just want to do one thing here. So give me one moment. switch over to my wired headphones. I'm getting a little bit of interference on my AirPods. Okay, is everyone able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
we can hear you just fine.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm always fearful of changing the headphones or the speakers mid-meeting, but I tell you, the battery on those AirPods are not what they used to be. All right, so we'll move right along. Big blue buttons are big blue button recordings. I see that came in from the chat. Those do not expire. Typically with a course, they'll stay for the length of the course. As far as accessing them after a course is concluded, that's where things get a bit difficult. They can still be accessed, but it's a bit more of an arduous process. But during a class, while a class is active, your big blue button recordings don't expire. They just show up under concluded conferences. We'll look at that in just a moment. Hop back to the dashboard with our global navigation ribbon. And we will hop in and take a look. Okay, so we'll start with the faculty walk to class. Just want to use that. I would use the use the FYIS course, but that actually contains student data. And while we're recording this session, I'd prefer, if I was a student, I wouldn't want anyone to be using my my course participation as a training example. So we'll start with the walk to class. So again, this is another area where there's nothing that you'd need to do as a faculty member to be enrolled in here. These lists are being brought in regularly. Now, as we approach the session start, they're being brought in daily. And whenever I get the list of instructors that are programmed in and added to Canvas or added to PT 71 or any of the other PTs for fall, I'm pulling these lists into the faculty walk to class. So this will be sort of an automatic thing. One day when you log in, you'll either get the invite directly or just see this pop up on your Canvas dashboard. And this just goes over everything that we're going to review today. So again, this is another follow along. Feel free to follow along when you've got the access, or if you have access already, feel free to log in and follow along with what we're doing. So we have our home page. Now, every course has its own home page. We can hop back and I can show you at least the home page for what your homepage will look like for most courses, which is this. It'll show off the course title, the course code. If you're in English Online, as you can see, this is one of the final ones that was 5 weeks, as Dr. Veens mentioned. We're going to 7 weeks moving forward. I've just finished that course build for the master course of FYIS. So as we move forward, that'll be in 7 weeks, and that's what would be copied over for every session, and then instructors will be programmed into. Gives a short description about what the course is, and then offers to begin the journey. All students need to do is click the start button. Not dissimilar to what we have here for the faculty walk to class. A quick description of what the class is. Our suggestion, I know many of us are already using Google Chrome, but I do want to put out there that Mozilla Firefox is another browser that works equally well with Canvas. Those two you're not going to see any content loss. You won't see as many video issues or broken links, things like that. If you're keeping Chrome or Mozilla Firefox up to date, which any of us on AGMU machines or using AGMU workstations, that's automatic that gets updated. But just make sure whenever update appears typically up here in Chrome, right by your profile picture. To click that and make sure you keep it updated. It's not so much about the content necessarily, but Chrome obviously and Firefox have an eye towards security and want to make sure that things are secure. That's sort of the bigger concern. But yes, Firefox works just fine. These two I see as equals. I don't see between Firefox and Chrome, I don't see much of a difference in content. We do see some issues with Safari. Can be difficult sometimes if you're using a Mac, or Edge if you're on Windows. Thankfully, finally, I can stop saying Internet Explorer because that has finally been retired. But that was typically the worst. Is that didn't have a great approach to modern internet or modern browsing or modern features like embedded video or any pictures. So Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, personally, I see as a coin flip. It's really personal preference. I prefer Chrome. That's what I'm on now because that's what we're using as an institution. So that just links up just fine. But Firefox is just fine as well, whichever one you prefer. And so I've put the links to download and install that into the course for either Windows or Mac. It's entirely up to you. Either system, that's fine. I'm on a Mac at the moment, and this is working, knock on wood, just fine. Hopefully, we'll continue to do so for the rest of the session. Okay. Sandbox courses, great question, Professor Pena. Sandbox courses absolutely can be provided. Those, given the number of faculty that are coming in, we did not want to auto assign those. Again, those come with sort of the same login credential complications sometimes that can come in with logging in. But feel free to reach out, send me an email with all I would need is your obviously your name and your ID number, your S number. You can send that to me. I'll put my email in the chat. And there we go. Those are just some of the quick things I just want to keep track of. Specifically, the campus, I did fail to mention that. The only reason asking for campus is because if there's an issue, I want to make sure that I'm connecting you to the right IT and the right Learning Resource Center teams. We have some amazing teams. Metro Orlando, you've got Rafael Del Rios, Susan Rivera, and Eduardo Milan. They are amazing. Tampa Bay, you have the hardest working man in AGMU, Manuel Robana and Maria Salas. And then South Florida, you have the exceptional team of Dionelis, Carolyn, and Martha. They are all absolutely fantastic. Again, can't say too many nice things about the library leadership as well with Dr. Leonidas Perez and Dirsa. They're fantastic. And all we are focused on now is helping the student and faculty transition into Canvas. So please lean on these resources, these trainings, these learning resource centers. We want to make sure that we're supporting you while you're supporting our students. So that question, right, Dr. Saldana, is a great question. Whether the courses will have syllabus and modules uploaded for online courses. So if you're Spanish online or online English, those courses, the syllabus will be uploaded, same as on ground. However, online courses will have full modules built out with content. For on ground courses, because those courses, obviously can change from week to week. Some weeks you get through a little bit more than you might have thought you would. Those don't always have defined modules, but they will have a defined syllabus. So you'll have a syllabus to work off of, and the modules can be defined, and the assignments obviously can come from the syllabus, but the modules can be defined as you go through the content. Online courses are a little bit more prescriptive. The asynchronous model allows, obviously to say that you're going to get through a certain amount of information inside of a week. On ground is a little bit more subjective. Some weeks you'll get through more than you wanted to. Some weeks students need a little bit more handholding or help understanding a concept. And so we didn't want anyone to feel like they had to abandon one topic and move on to another one in an on-ground setting. So we've got our home page here. We've split this up, and each one of these areas represents a module in the course. And we'll look at that in just a moment, but I did want to point out for navigation's sake that this might not be your first time in Canvas. If it is, that's fine. This training, excuse me, and this course can absolutely help us get through that. If you've been in Canvas for a long time and you say, okay, I just need to know what is a little different in here, what AGMU is doing a little differently than another institution, that's set up for here as well. This really is adaptive to your level of experience. But more importantly, it's something that you can consistently and regularly refer back to. It's not a course that you lose access to at any point. And we'll go through how to remove it from your dashboard when you feel that you've gotten the most out of it. But even if you remove it from your dashboard, that doesn't mean that it goes away. It means that you can still go through and access it when you maybe take some time off and, well, I don't know, clear your head. That could happen. And you've forgotten now how to post a welcome announcement. That's fine. Still here for you to reference. It adapts to your user level, it adapts to your experience level, but it also grows with you. We'll be adding more things here and through the FACE course as well to make sure that you're supported, to make sure that you have the opportunity to continue to advance your skills. And one of the big things here is this isn't, even though it is an AGMU training course, it's not specifically geared towards only AGMU operations. Reason for that, nobody wants you to take your skills elsewhere. I just want to make sure that this faculty and our students as well are as savvy as possible, have the highest level of knowledge, and can sort of spark that creativity. Obviously, if you're teaching in other institutions as an adjunct faculty member or a part-time instructor here, then those skills will transfer. What's available here in Canvas is also available elsewhere. I don't want you to take your skills elsewhere. I just want you to make sure, I want to make sure that we had the opportunity for everyone to feel that nothing is being held back and nothing is being left off the table. All options and all operations are here in this training and in all of our trainings and resource centers. So we can really take the most advantage of this resource, this LMS, and make sure that we can do everything that we can to support our students and make our course content really pop and engaging for students. It's not always easy in a virtual setting. I'm sure everyone knows that, or anyone, especially who had children go through the Canvas transition during the pandemic. Sometimes it can be very challenging to keep people engaged. So as we got into this course here, like I said, this is the home page. Now, we notice that we've got our global navigation ribbon. We talked about that earlier. That's where the account and the dashboard and the courses and all that exists. But once we got into the course, once we click this tile, an additional menu shows up. Now, this is called the in-course navigation menu. And this shows our course elements. So remember, all the way to the far left, that's universal. That applies to all courses in Canvas. That will never change. The course navigation, that does change just a little bit, because obviously some courses are going to have elements that other courses do not. Some courses are going to have resources that other courses do not. I'm thinking specifically in this case, but our nursing courses, they use a resource called Elsevier Evolve, and that would show up here under the class navigation, but it wouldn't show up in a business program. However, in a business program, McGraw-Hill Connect might. So again, the in-class navigation menu is a little bit subjective. As an instructor, especially for online instructors and again for on-ground instructors, elements that you'll use in class are here in our in-class navigation. That's meant for both instructors and students to be able to jump through and connect to anything they need to use in the classroom. Some of the quick takeaways here, obviously the home page. Whenever you click that, this is the page you're coming right back to. Your announcements, we'll look at that in just a moment. Posting announcements, students have the ability to respond to certain announcements if you allow them to. We'll look at those in just a moment. The syllabus, there's not a syllabus for this course, so I've not defined one here. However, that would be where you would go to see an overview of the elements of the course. Students would go there for an elements of the course overview as well, in addition to an actual downloadable copy of the syllabus would be under the syllabus menu. What I really want to highlight here is the modules link. Now, course navigation is a very subjective thing. There's really no specific way to tell faculty or to tell students, you must click this and must click that. Because you could come to this homepage and say, I just want to go see this module, or I want to go see that module, and that would be fine. You can navigate just through like that. However, personally, I prefer the modules menu, and here's why. This gives me a full overview, and as you can see, I can collapse these and see my sequential view of each week or each module in the class. Typically, module does equate to a week. Let's think of it like that. Okay, so module 1 would be week 1, module 2, week 2. But this gives a full overview in the modules. I like to think of the modules as the super highway for course access. This is very easy for me to go through and go, I just want to see, you know, module.
Announcements, assignments.
Sorry, there, we had a question. Go ahead, unmute yourself. Okay. So going through here, you're able to jump through any aspect of the course. Same thing with a student can jump to any module. Or you can go through page by page. That's a fine way too. So starting with page 1, you could always go through and just click the next button and take yourself one page at a time. That's fine. Whatever aspect works best for you. Some are overwhelmed by modules. Some are bored by pages. So yes, it is. Yeah, Raphael, you're absolutely correct. Modules sometimes easier to follow. I say that too, but I didn't want to turn anyone off from going page by page. That's fine too. Whatever training wheels aspect anyone needs to use, they can go right ahead. If you are an instructor for a course, you do have access to all available modules in the course. As a student, for these training courses, I did not lock modules. I wanted people to be able to click around. As I said, I'm not aware of whether you have experience in Canvas, previous experience in Canvas, so I did not want to make it a restrictive area. What class student version, not teacher version? That's very interesting. If you could send me an email, Professor Mendoza, with your S number, I'll make sure that that's corrected. Very interesting that you were put into the student one. But as a faculty member, you'll have access to all modules for classes that you teach. In this class, I've unlocked all modules. There may, at some point, I can say I've used this approach before, for trainings, if they need to be done in a sequential order, there may be a situation where modules are locked. It's, you know, something that can be done, where you would have to lock the module and you know, make sure that it's complete all items. It's sort of like this, but it's prerequisites. So module 2, I could add a prerequisite to have to complete module 1 before getting to module 2. Some cases for certain trainings, if we have to go that route, we'll use it. But for the most part, it's going to just be open source, open format, allowing you to go through without having to hit certain roadblocks, making it easier for you to walk through this training at your own pace. Okay, so we've got our modules here. Again, we've gone over most of module 1, which is your Canvas dashboard, your profiles and settings. Let's jump to communication. That's another key area. We've looked at notifications, which are here underneath our account menu, notifications. And looking at them, we can see that each account that you have or each contact method that you have put in your settings or under your profile has the ability for different notification settings. These are largely user-defined. There will be a university policy on these. However, right now, there's not a specific definition as to what you need to have for your notification settings. And the reason for that is because we wanted everyone to get comfortable with using the resource before we start mandating, certain settings. We can trust our faculty. We're all adults, we're all professionals. We didn't want to have to prescribe what has to be done right from the get-go. Change imposed is change opposed, as Dr. Jean Maripodi has said to me. And so we wanted to make sure that everyone was comfortable with the resource before we started asking and making requests of how we're navigating through here. But a quick view of notifications, and I won't go through each one of these, is you get to set one of 4 options for every function in Canvas. You can either be notified immediately, you can get a daily summary, a weekly summary, or turn notifications off. So as you can see, you can go through and whether it be submissions, invitations, titles and names in profile, unfortunately aren't something that's going to be brought in just yet. We will be getting to the point where we allow for the display name to be changed, but that won't happen until everyone gets into the resource. So for right now, it's just pulling that data from Banner. And as titles aren't in Banner, unfortunately, it's just first name, surname, then right now it would just be the display name would be just first name, last name. However, in your bio, in your class announcement, please refer to your titles and ensure students are aware of that. So we can go through and we can click the notifications and make sure that we get notified to our preferences. I would recommend you keep this to email. You do have the ability under the settings to put in a phone number and get SMS notifications. That seems excessive at times. If you've got the Canvas app and your notifications are set to that and your notifications are set on your mobile device, well, then you're going to get those notifications as they come in. The text message, it can be information overload and it can get quite redundant and just a bit annoying to get those. So I would keep them just to emails, make sure that we're getting those in a timely fashion. But again, university policies will be dictated on these as we move forward, as everyone gets more comfortable with the resource. Okay. So display name, if it is incorrect, please be sure to let your IT professional or your IT specialist know. Don't hesitate to send me an email as well if those are incorrect. We should be correcting those. That comes from it being incorrect in Banner. Again, all of this data pulls from Banner. So if we can make the correction in Banner, then it will be correct in Canvas. So please send those over. Okay, so we've seen notifications. Hop back to the dashboard. Okay. So we're back here on the dashboard. We've now seen how we navigate to our walk to class, our course, how we see that. Let's take a look at the actual courses menu. That's how we add and remove things from our dashboard after they've been auto added, after we've been enrolled. So again, this course has concluded. The FYIS course from last summer semester has concluded. Now, I can remove this, I can re-add it. I re-added it because I had a student who was completing an incomplete and wanted to make sure that I still had this to get our notifications. As you can see here, just like a student view, announcements and our message notifications, grade feedback notifications, grade submission notifications, those are all here right on the course tile. So you're able to see those. So our discussions, our assignments, all of that. All of this comes in. So when there are discussions in this course, you can see that. If there are assignment submissions or announcements made, students can see that. We can see that on our end as well. So how do I remove something from my dashboard, or how do I add something to my dashboard? Going through the courses menu, you'll see there's quite a few options here. Got all courses that I've been assigned to, whether they're published or unpublished. And then down here at the very bottom, all courses. I'm gonna go ahead and click that. As you can see here, I can see every course that I have a stake in, every course that I've been enrolled in, every course that I've participated in or been added to, what my access level is in that course. Is it published, yes or no? Here on the left-hand side are the star buttons that add or remove a course from your dashboard. So if we wanted to remove, let's say, the procedures and training course, open this in the new window. We can see that appears right here at the bottom. And that's, obviously I'd like to put 2 more classes there, so it's a full row, but I can always remove it. So let's go back to our courses menu. Courses, all courses. Find that. And we can remove it. Now, when I go back to my dashboard, it's going to reload the page. And now that has been removed. But that doesn't mean I lose access to it. I can always go back in if I needed to go back and said, oh, geez, I removed the wrong one. Go back to all courses. Find it and re-add it just by clicking that star. Puts it right back on my dashboard. Quick reload of the page. And there we go. Now it's back on. So again, that's a way to get into or out of courses. Let's say you've done the walk to class training, you feel like you've gotten the most out of it that you can at this moment. You don't want to see it on your dashboard anymore. You would go to courses, all courses, and then deselect the star next to the faculty walk to class. That'll pull it away. Dr. Carrasquillo, great question about published and unpublished courses. So courses that come in that you are enrolled in as a student, let's say, for the trainings for walk to class, for the Faculty Advancement Center for Excellence, those will be published. Those will be published by the teacher for the course, in this case, myself or Dr. Maripodi. For courses that come in that you're an instructor for, excellent clarification, you get access to the course before students do. That's allowing you to go in, make sure that the dates are correct, make sure that anything that you want to add in files wise, or anything that you want to set up for your course is set up. And then when that is ready, you as the instructor would hit the publish button. I'll show you just what that looks like here. Let's go to the Metro Orlando sandbox here. Okay, and as we can see, I've got the teacher access to this. This is a pilot course for Metro Orlando campus. So this wouldn't have any particular modules defined because this is a training course for Metro Orlando to use with faculty and students. And then all I need to do, click publish. Got to pick a home page here for this one. This hasn't been assigned, so let's go ahead and set a home page. So I've gone to pages in the course menu. You don't need to do this. The home page, as I showed earlier, will already be set. You'll be able to just go ahead and publish. But here, I want to point out that creating this page is a very similar look to how we'll do announcements, to how pretty much anything gets done in Canvas. This is the rich content editor. So your announcement and or your page needs a title, it needs a body. Okay. And perhaps we want to add an image. Let's just say this welcome image here. We just click submit. And again, all of these, we'll go through this in just a moment. I want to go through all of these features, what these are. It's a lot, just text formatting, things like that, and then what we can link to. And want to go through that in a minute, but I want to show off how you would publish a course. So we'll get to these features. But I've now set up my home page. I'm comfortable with it. I save and I publish. Okay, my home page is published. Okay. Choose my home page. Set that as the front page. Again, this won't be something let's do. The front page is always set because as you can see, Canvas is very particular about that. Yeah. Okay, now that we've got a home page, as every course that you'll be enrolled in and will have, we can hit publish. And so now, as you can see, that course is published. So really the takeaway there is that how we create a page, pages will be created for you. Publishing the course content you publish when you know all of the course details, content, everything is loaded in to your satisfaction that you'd be comfortable with when students start to access the course. You hit publish. As soon as you publish it, students will be able to access it when they enter Canvas. Now, typically, instructor access to courses right now is happening 1 to 2 weeks prior to a session start. We're going to increase that and keep working at that to ensure that it is a guarantee of 2 weeks prior as often as possible. This obviously connects to when you've accepted your engagement letter and been programmed into the class. If you accept that engagement letter a day before the session starts, well, not able to give you access 2 weeks before that. Unfortunately, AGMU has not developed a time machine. However, if anyone is working on one, there are some sports bets that I think a lot of us would like to put down. So when you have course access, you'll have it 1 to 2 weeks prior to a student getting into course. Students get access typically the Thursday prior to a session start. So you have it for the 2 weeks prior, students have it for essentially the weekend prior. So they're able to get in and get comfortable and see all the content that you've published in your course. Your course is ready to go. And then the session kicks off on the session start date. So 1 to 2 weeks prior for instructors, about 3 to 4 days prior for students, so that everybody has access to jump in on day one. So now we'll go back to our dashboard. Okay. Excellent. I see there's some direct messages. I'll answer those in just a few. I'll answer those as we wrap up our session. But I want to keep going here because there are a few more features that I want to get through to show everyone. Okay, I'll use my sandbox course for these next few steps. Click into the sandbox course. And there we go. We can see that has a homepage. It's been published. And again, the sandbox is a safe space for me to use this to create for guides, for trainings, things like that. And again, sandbox courses can be provided. You know, those are, if that's something that you feel would make you feel more confident, please just send me your name, ID number, and the campus that you are instructing at, and we'll get that taken care of. Okay, so we are in the course. I mentioned announcements because that's a big thing. Course announcements. My own course, and again, this is something that is sort of, you know, up to your own teaching preferences. For my course, I do an announcement at the start of every week, welcoming students to the week, giving a bit of an overview of what the week is looking like, talking about if there are any outstanding assignments, you know, what the due dates are for those. You know, I put that all in my welcome announcement too, but it's nice to have that weekly reminder for students in that touch point, especially for an asynchronous online course. My office hours are always open to students, but if students, you know, aren't taking advantage of the office hours or are engaging with the course content in hours where I'm not available, they at least have the weekly announcement to have that kind of contact and know who their instructor is and who they can go to for in-class support. So in announcements, and again, you have this access as an instructor to click announcements. Adding an announcement is as simple as clicking plus announcement. And there we go. This page looks eerily similar to creating a page. So here you give your announcement a title. There we go. And then we're into the rich content editor. Now, any of us who have edited a website or a Word document are going to be very comfortable with a lot of these icons and a lot of these procedures and a lot of these operations. But we'll go through and just take a quick look at things. Right along the top here are your options for formatting your text and adding in your different elements. So obviously text size, formatting, whether it's a heading, paragraph, bold, italic, underline, those are fairly common. Different color backgrounds and highlighting in text, adding in superscript or subscript if you're putting in, let's say you're putting in a math equation and need to add superscript or subscript. And then we get into these elements here. Now, this is where things get fun. Here we can add in links. They could be an external link. Perhaps you're setting up a week, as I do in the FYIS course, about multiple intelligences. So Gardner's multiple intelligences. There's a great resource that I like to send students to test essentially in their own personality what their intelligence is. So I put that into my announcement for that every week. And all I do to do that is just click that link button in an external link. I can hyperlink it if I have text, or I can just put a link in. So if I wanted to, I can put in, let's just say, that's a link to a different course, but that's fine. They'll show you exactly what it looks like. And there we go. Just as simple as that. Now, let's say I wanted to link to a specific page in this course. So let's say I wanted to say, hey, everyone, check out the discussions page. Okay. Okay. I'd highlight what I want to hyperlink, click the link button, and this time I'd choose course links. And here, this brings up my option for course links. I can link to a specific page. I could link to a specific assignment, a quiz, an announcement, any of those elements, any of the discussions, or I can link to navigation. So if I wanted to say, hey, just go check out the discussions page and not just a particular discussion, let's go ahead and click that. And there we go. Now we've linked to the discussions page. Now, when students read this announcement, they click that, it'll take them right to the discussions page without having to send them over there, keeping everything right in this one spot. Here we have our ability to add in images. We can upload an image. We can use one of the course images. As you can see, there are some course images that I've loaded in. or we can use user images. Now, this is where I made the distinction sort of towards the start of this training with our user account. Here, I can see files, right? Those are user files. This is something that every user has. You can pull in any file that you want to pull in from your computer. It doesn't have to be tied to a course. You can keep it in your user files. Think of it as additional file storage for the things you use regularly in a class. These are user files because they are tied to your user account. In here, files under the course menu are files for this specific course. So these are things that I've uploaded directly to this course. So they exist here that I can pull into any element of this course. So again, user images, user files, any of that exists for the user under your user account. Anything with course exists in the course. You've uploaded it to the files of that course. When you upload something directly, it gets added to the course files because you're uploading it into that course. So again, multiple menus, and those exist in the image editor, the document or files editor. You can upload a document, a course document, or a user document. And they also happen here in media. Now, media is interesting. We can upload videos. We can, if we have a recorded video where we have, a lecture that we've recorded, we can upload that. We can upload media from the course. If there's a specific video that already exists in the course and we want to upload that into an announcement, we can go ahead and do that. Or let's say I don't have great access to a keyboard. I'm on my phone, something's happened, and I've got to let the class know, hey, unfortunately, class, I sent out an email, but I've talked to your academic director, but class is unfortunately canceled for this evening. We'll make it up on a certain time or date. Obviously, going through that, you've clarified that with your academic director. Emergencies happen. Let's hope they don't happen too often, just from a human side. But if they do, and when they do, you could always record just a quick media and just record from a mobile device or a computer with a webcam and just hit upload or record. And Canvas would allow you to record media, a quick message to students, and you could just embed that right into this announcement, hit send, and students could watch that image, watch that message. So a lot of options here is what we can add into our announcements or our pages or anything in Canvas. This rich content editor is the same view for everything, as we saw in pages, announcements, anything. Whenever you try to add something, it's always coming through the rich content editor. Here, we can set in marker icons. There's the possibility for equations, for tables, for embedding videos. All of that exists here. And then we have our typical layout formatting for page orientation, bullet points, and indents. All of that exists in the rich content editor. So it's really limited only to your imagination, your creativity, what you can put into an announcement or a page. Once I've got this set to where I want to set it, I've got all the content in here I want. Right here is where I choose who it's posted to. Is it posted to all sections? Typically in an announcement, it would be posted to all sections. However, if you are in a course that uses group work and you group your students, you could make an announcement just to say, hey, group 2, don't forget your presentation is this Friday, that kind of thing. Yes, we will go through the Canvas teacher app to your mobile device. It's not immediately required, but we will go through how that looks and how to access that. And then here, you can add an attachment or a file. So click attachment, you can choose any file. If you wanted to say view this handout and you didn't want to hyperlink that here in the rich content editor, you could just attach it like you would to any email. And then here, you can delay posting if this is something you wanted to set up ahead of time. You can allow liking. That's it's entirely up to you. and then just hit save when you're done and the announcement posts. That's it. Save, and then there you go. It goes to the announcements. When it goes to the announcements, students get not only the announcement they can see in Canvas, but they also get an email notification that they've received the announcement, and they can go directly there to view the announcement through the app, through their computer, directly from their email right into the announcement. So great way to communicate, great way to get the word out without having to send individual emails or come out of Canvas, send an email, and then hope that you hit everything and hope that you put all the information in. That is how we would do welcome announcements. That's how we would communicate with our students on a regular basis. The announcements, great tool. Looking ahead, big blue button, I know is an area we want to talk about. We'll look at that. This is what we're using for conferences in class meetings currently, is big blue button. Now that exists in Canvas. It's similar to Blackboard Collaborate, but there are a few key differences. Again, this is an interim step until we're able to integrate Teams into Canvas. Once that's done, we'll be able to use Teams as we do everywhere else. We all have access to Teams through our AGMU university email. The same with students, they have access to it. So that's a cross-platform option for everyone, but it's going to take some time to get that integrated. That is looking to be sometime in the new year that's integrated. So right now, big blue button is what we're using. The only difference here for big blue button is that it does not provide you with a link to send like Blackboard Collaborate one. Everything else functions just about the same. You can set up meetings ahead of time, and that's fine, but it doesn't give you a link to send out because the link is just for students to come to the big blue button link in their class. So let's say we wanted to set up a conference for this class. So okay, I'm giving it a name, title, maybe it's August, let's see, 14th, 16th. Okay, at 6 p.m. Okay, so now we know that Canvas Training Conference, Tuesday, August 16th, 6 p.m. Very specific for students. When they see that in their email, they're going to get that information. The duration, well, that depends. How long is your class? Do you want to set no time limit so that you could have a conference that lasts the entire class or beyond? Or is it just a quick half-hour, 30-minute meeting with a student? That's entirely, you just set the amount of time that is. I encourage people to always click enable recording for this conference. Whether you do record it or do not record it, that's fine, but just enable recording so you have the option to. Here we'll put the description. Go. And then here we have the option to invite all course members, or as I mentioned, if your course uses grouping and you have your students grouped into course groups, you'll have the ability to select certain groups if you're just meeting with that group of students. Otherwise, leave invite all course members checked and click update. And there we go. As we can see, we've got our conference ready to go, ready to be set. And that's been set up in the class. Now we're wondering, how does this get out to students? Well, we have a number of options. First, you can go to announcements. Say, class meeting. PM. Okay. Now here, we would want to link them to our course meeting. So I'm seeing another question, another direct question come in on the chat. So here we can either do the external link for that meeting. We can do the pages link, we can do the announcements link, all of that. What I'm going to do here is copy this link address for Big Blue Button in our course. And just put that right in. It's right under conferences. That's the other area where that comes in. So if we wanted to not do the external link, we could always do course link. And it's course navigation. There's conference 5. Oh, that's because it's not published. That's because conferences is not published here. That's right. This is the drawback of working with a one-person class. Since I'm the only person in this class, we'll just have to do the external link and put conferences in there. There we go. Okay. So now when I save that, students will get the announcement to log in Tuesday, 6 p.m. to the Big Blue Button link. They'll click that. It would bring them right to the Big Blue Button page, and they'd be able to see, oh, there we go. Once I've started it, there'll be a join link. We'll go through that in just a moment. There's also another way here with our calendar. Now the calendar is great. It's another function that you know, obviously we're working our way down the global navigation ribbon here. But the calendar automatically pulls events from classes and puts them onto your calendar, crosses them out when you're done. See, obviously I've completed grading module 4, assignment 1 and 2, module 5, and all of the final projects for that FYIS course. So that's already on here. Any of the other calendars that are on here for live published classes obviously show up, and they're color coded. So if we were to say, okay, well, the subject matter expert training has a Big Blue Button or an assignment 2, that would show up here in green. And that does that for all classes. You can see it in the week view, we can see it in the month view, or just a specific agenda view, which is just going to give us a list of items. Since we've got no open items, obviously the agenda view is not incredibly useful at the moment. We can create a new event. So if I want to link this to an assignment specifically for students and really highlight this and give them an extra boost, you know, we certainly can. I can link it to my to-do list. I can add in my own events. If I've got days where I'm not going to be in office hours, I can add that. Days where I'm going to add office hours, I can do that. Here, I could just add a web conference and say, okay, for my class, we'll go ahead and say, you know, obviously it's not from 12 p.m. 6 p.m. to, let's just say 7 p.m. Location, Big Blue Button. Click on more options. I can go ahead and repurpose that announcement that I put in the class right here. And go right back to the announcement. Copy this in. There we go. Create the event. The library workshop calendar is not linked to Canvas because it doesn't happen in a specific course just yet. It will be, they are posted around each campus, and as we move forward, they'll go through, whether it's a faculty event or a student event, they'll start coming up in the FACE 100 course, or for students for their student resource center, since those will be the primary communication points, and they'll start coming up on the calendar for specific trainings, for anything else that communication we have to get out. But that is one area where we'll be using the calendar quite a bit. So as you can see, I've added the web conference. So now any student would see it. They'd be able to see the Big Blue Button link. They'll be able to see everything in there and jump right into that meeting when it starts on Tuesday at 6 p.m. So the big day is here. It's time for us to start this conference. We started at 6 p.m. I'm just going to do listen only from them. There we go. And now we're in Big Blue Button. We can see on the left-hand side here, we have our chat, we have our shared notes, and then any users that jump on can be shown here in our participants list. Here our public chat. We can use this as our discussion if we're not using audio, if somebody just wants to ask a question, not unlike what we've got going on here. And then we've got our controls on the main page. First things first, I would definitely encourage you to do recording if you're doing a class session. Obviously, if someone can't attend, we want to make sure they can get the information. So click start recording. There we go. It's going to tell me no active microphone. Obviously, this is a test run through. So we're recording this session. And as you can see in our controls, we've got our chat. We can poll. We can turn on webcams and use webcams. Students can express with emojis, change the audio, share screens, set up breakout rooms, or use the multi-user whiteboard. So a great resource for those of us who teach math classes to have just the whiteboard up and say, okay, I'm going to go through this problem right now and show off, how we do this, and then have people collaborate. I'm not a mathematically inclined person, so that's giving me a little bit of anxiety, remembering back to the days in grammar school where I would be asked to walk all the way up to the board, and it always seemed much longer of a walk to demonstrate a problem. But you can do that in the whiteboard here. So let's say we've concluded our meeting, we're done. We can pause the recording or stop the recording, resume it at any time. And then once we're done, we end. Okay. This now shows up in the concluded conferences. What this is doing in the background right now is rendering down that video. So that's typically depending on the length of the recordings, much like a Teams meeting or any other meeting, it takes some time to get there to where you'd be able to view it. So we'll give it some time to process. But we've recorded it, we have a record of it. So that's perfect. So now we're back in the home of the course. Okay. Generating a report for attendance. The user report is in there. If you're inviting all members of the class, the user report does show up in Big Blue Button, where you'll be able to access that information. It would be a bit tricky to show you because I'm the only participant in the meeting right now, but yes, you can generate the report for Big Blue Button attendance. Okay. Now, what happens afterwards, after this recording? Well, wait a minute. It's rendered down. It was only a minute long, so it didn't take this long this time. Two things happen. First, after it's rendered, you can see the recording. We can review the recording. Anyone who has access to Big Blue Button in the course can see this. So you can jump through here. Students can go through. You can highlight this and say, hey, if you missed last week's session, make sure to go Big Blue Button and see our Tuesday, August 16th recording. And there we go. They'd be able to see the recording. What also happens is both the presenter and the class that was invited gets the notification, hey, you have a new recording to watch. So automatically it's sending that notification out to let people know that the recording's prepped and prompting them to go to the Big Blue Button link where they can see that, they can open it up. And we can watch our very quick, no audio, very limited mouse movements presentation in the course. And that stays. As you can see, all of these conferences, these weren't recorded, but they're all here left in the course. So I would say just leave it as a concluded conference as the course goes through. Yes, Big Blue button can be used with any other browser, and as far as locking and unlocking the mic, it doesn't automatically do that. That's much like Zoom. It asks you to choose what your audio input and output devices are. So as students go in, they'd be prompted to activate that. So very user friendly there. So that is our walkthrough of Big Blue button. As you can see in the course navigation menu here, we have a few more items. We have our Google Drive, which again, it's our own personal Google Drive. Clicking that, I could pick any file from my Google Drive, or Office 365 right now is just, you know, and this is how you authorize that. Of course, I've changed my password since last time. It was 90 days, go very quickly. And there we go. And now I've got all of my recordings, pictures, documents from OneDrive that I could just grab and pull right into the class or submit. For students, they've got the ability for NetTutor to jump right through and go right into tutoring, which is fantastic. Jump back from that. And the same happens for the virtual library. So more about the virtual library when students need to go looking for topics, titles, authors, all of this is going to be expanded. Our LRC teams and Dr. Leonidas Perez are working on establishing AGMU's own virtual library, which will be linked directly into Canvas right from here. Same thing if your course uses it, or it's a book that you're using in your course that the university has a digital copy of, the Vital Source bookshelf has been enabled so that can connect to textbooks. But this is only if you're using a textbook that the university has access to in its Vital Source bookshelf. So as you're using textbooks, be mindful of that. If a student purchases a textbook on their own for your course, they absolutely can. If they've purchased it through Vital Source, they absolutely can connect that account to their bookshelf and just make it so that they're able to jump right into their course or into their book right from Canvas. It's not immediately necessary, but again, more expansion on that as everyone gets in and gets comfortable just with navigating and using the resource. We want to start then to build out what the connected resources are. So before we jump into a question and answer section, I want to go over the inbox. Now, as I mentioned, the inbox is not your university email. It's unfortunate that that Canvas doesn't have that ability. A lot of people are going to have some confusion with that because anything that you send or receive in your inbox here in Canvas does go to your university email. And that's because, again, your primary point of contact in Canvas is your university email. So if I send a message from here to a student and a student responds, they can respond via email. I get the notification here, but it also goes to my inbox in Canvas. As you can see yesterday, Arturo Vega thanked me for letting him know that the Canvas login issue that we had a few weeks ago was resolved. I got that notification in my email, but it's also here in my Canvas inbox. I can respond directly to that. And that would go to Professor Vega's university email, but it also have the notification here in Canvas. You can archive your messages, respond to messages from here. There's unread, starred, sent, archived, all of those for any course. But let's go through how to actually send a message in Canvas. So I've clicked on inbox and we want to reach out. I've had to unfortunately reach out to a student or two about a submission, maybe something that was too high of a plagiarism count on Turnitin. Their similarity report came back very high, or maybe they just haven't been engaging in the course and I want to set up some time. Well, it's very simple to do. You just click compose message in your inbox, select your course. Go ahead and I'll use the Metro Orlando Sandbox. There we go. And then here, you can either start typing the name or use the contact. So here, I'm seeing there are 6 teachers in the Metro Orlando campus sandbox. That makes sense. I've got the LRC staff in there as well as the IT staff. For any other course, and I'll just show you, I won't hover over names, but you can see. Sorry, that's the, there we go. For here, you can see we have teachers, teaching assistants or TAs, and students. TAs is not something necessarily that we have in courses, but we are adding people to certain courses, training courses as TAs for the LRC teams, for student success coaches to help out with facilitating trainings. Or we can choose students. And once you click on that, you've got your list of names that you can choose from. I'm not going to click any of them. I don't administer this course, so I don't want to overstep and randomly message a student, but you can, just through the Rolodex here, check and send a message directly to a student, put the subject, type the message. You can attach a file or upload a video to send along and then hit send. Once it's sent, it goes to your sent box and ends up in the inbox for whichever student or peer that you send a message to. They get the notification here in Canvas. They also get an email in their inbox. They reply, same thing. So a lot of communication points to make sure that we don't miss anything. If you use PowerPoints in your class with graphs, you can use that in Blackboard. You'd be sharing your screen, you'd be sharing your content the same way you do in Teams or in Zoom or in Blackboard Collaborate. You'd be able to share that content. As far as access to Elsevier Evolve, if you are teaching in the nursing or FNP courses or programs, if and when you're using Elsevier Evolve, we're doing that's sort of a newer resource. So we're doing faculty trainings very soon on those, and we're adding all of the nursing and FNP excuse me, staff to that and faculty to that. So those trainings will be coming out shortly to give an overview there. They're a great resource. And again, it's right here in Canvas. So you don't have to remember a bunch of different URLs. You can jump back and forth. Okay. So see, we're getting a request for assignment. Where do I upload the PowerPoint for class presentation? When you get into the big blue button platform, that's where you'd be able to share it. If you want to upload it so that students have access to it before, you can very easily do that. We'll go back into the sandbox. And you can either do through the announcement. You can upload it to the class and then link to it in the announcement through either the course documents, upload document, course document, or user document approach, or you can attach it as an attachment to that announcement for that meeting. That's the quickest way to make sure that everyone has access to it, because that's going to anyone that you're sending the invite link to. And then when you get into the platform, much like you would here, it would just be as simple as share content, share screen to show off those PowerPoint presentations. Okay, so see, we're getting a request for posting assignments and grading. Perfect. Okay. Excuse me. So we'll use some of the existing ones here. For posting an assignment, again, very simple. In the in-course navigation, go to assignment, title the assignment. Let's say this is just week 2 essay. Put your prompts in here. What do you want them to submit? How do you want them to submit it? When do you want them to submit it by? Any of that data. I can give an example definitely of what, because this isn't showing off any student-specific data. And look at that. There we go. Okay, so this is typically what an assignment page would look like. It would be our topic, our prompt, what our submission instructions are, And then as we go through, as we can see here, we've got our criteria and our rubrics. That's what we'll do here. Once we've defined the assignment, okay, so that's what we put our number of points. Obviously, the assignment group is assignments, but if we wanted to, we could create a group of assignments. You don't need to create a group of assignments, but you certainly can if there is going to be, let's say, aspects of a final project. So if you take a term-long project and chop it into smaller pieces so that students are sort of completing those markers as they go along, then you could create the group for final project submissions. Okay, maybe this is your project plan. Maybe this is your work breakdown structure, things like that. You can create that group. You can display it as a percentage, a simple complete, incomplete, points, a letter grade, a GPA scale, or it's just not graded. Maybe you just want students to upload your resume. Okay, so we've got that. We've set that up. What's the submission type? We're going to say just a file upload. Okay, file upload's fine. Number of attempts. Obviously, if you want students to be unlimited in their attempts, go right ahead. Or you can say limited and define the number so they can only submit 2 times, 1 time, however many. Plagiarism review, we would ask for anything that is an assignment, please click turn it in. Why? Turn it in automatically scans for plagiarism. So you'll see an originality report as your students are submitting things. And that originality report will show you, 20% of this is from other sources. Well, that's fairly high. Let's dig into this and see, is it just that the student failed to cite one reference and they've pulled a lot from there and they didn't put on their references page and now turn it in is flagging that? It could be that simple. Or it could be that a student is, hopefully not, trying to copy ideas and pass them off as their own. Obviously, we don't want that. So please, when you're setting up assignments, if there is an essay or any work, research work that has to be submitted, please select turn it in under the plagiarism review. It'll index all submissions. These are defaults immediately, and on the due date, it'll generate the similarity reports. Those are all defaults. You don't have to choose those. If it's a group assignment, you can click that off. If you're doing peer reviews, go ahead and click that off. You're assigning it to everyone unless it's a group assignment. You're selecting just a specific group. When is it due? Well, let's say it's due today by 11:59. That's a default. And when is it available from? Now, this isn't something that you need to necessarily worry about putting out there, especially if you're an online English or online Spanish instructor, because the availability corresponds to when people can access the class and when people can access the module. However, if you're saying, I only want this to be available for this limited period of time, that's where you can set those markers. I only want people to be able to see it from August 7th through the 13th. And after the 13th, it doesn't matter. I don't want people to be able to access this. I don't want late submissions. Obviously, we don't want late submissions anyways. They happen. We're stating our late work policy in our welcome message. You don't need to set this for students to not be able to submit. If you've set the number of submissions to just 1 submission, that's it. Once the due date passes, it's not open anymore. So again, you don't necessarily need to put in the available dates. Once you've set that up, you've got everything in there, you save it, you publish it, and there we go. Now students can see it under their list of assignments. We see our week 2 essay. Okay, so now this is great. We can show where the grade book is. Here in this example, under grades. Now, as an instructor, you can see all students and all submissions. So that's why we're going to have to tread lightly with a training example here. I don't want to break anyone's confidentiality. So here you can see in this class, I'm set up as a teacher. I'm not setting anyone else up as a student in here, but you can see the different assignments, the week 2 essay, the module 1 essay, the meet and share discussion, and you can see any submissions that have put in there, obviously in different trainings. I've had to do this, so I have a submission in there for week 1. Okay, that's your overview of the grade book. As far as grading submissions, that I can show in 2 ways without violating anyone's confidentiality or showing off. And this is a live class, remember, okay? Okay. Here as an instructor, I can see how many people have submitted, how many have been graded. I can download the submissions, or I can hit Speed Grader. Now, Speed Grader, if there's a rubric assigned, which there would be for any assignment that we're pulling in, Speed Grader is fantastic. You'll see the assignment on one side, and we'll take a look at that for something non-consequential here. Let's see. Let's use customize your profile. And there we go. We are in the Speed Grader right now. Now, this is great. I can see the assignment submission on one side. I can see the rubric. I've set up a very quick rubric here, so this isn't, very extensive. But all I have to do is click the box. Maybe I think that this submission is excellent. And I do, because Dr. Athwal is a fantastic instructor, and it was able to put in a very good profile page, or maybe it's just good. And whatever the criteria are there are dependent upon the boxes. So it's excellent, it's good, needs improvement, or it's missing. It just hasn't been handed in. Once all that's done, all I hit is save. If I want to put some submissions in, let's say it needed improvement. Maybe he didn't have an email registered in there. It would say, hey, this is great, but I need to see an email. I can submit that with the grade for the assignment, and he would get that note. And then that starts our dialogue from instructor and student, which side you're on, as to, how are we allowing another submission? I'm sure we've all seen it. And I'll hop out of here. So I'm sure we've all seen it. Especially I see it in the early stages. As I said, I'm the instructor for FYIS, that I see students are maybe in 2 classes and they just title their assignment week 1 submission or week 1 essay. And then I end up looking, and I'm looking for an FYIS assignment, and I see that they've submitted it for, a computer science course. Well, not great. Obviously, we want students to proofread and make sure they're uploading the right assignment. So that's really on us as faculty members, as instructors, what our internal policy is. Because I teach so early on in the program, I don't take a hard line with it. I typically, if I see that, I will leave the assignment ungraded and send a gradebook message back to the student saying, hey, it looks like you've submitted the wrong assignment here. Go ahead and submit the correct one by such and such a date and time, and I'll grade it. That's more cooperative. Obviously, as we get into the master level, doctoral level, and even the higher level undergraduate, we're not expecting that. Students should be a little bit more professional, a little bit more proficient. So those policies, again, are subjective, set by your school deans, set by your academic directors, set by your own ethics. That is fine. When you leave those comments, students get the notification for them, and they can also see them in their particular grade breakdown. Now, a student grade breakdown. It's the wrong section. There we go. Okay. So now if I'm in the grade book as an instructor and I see that test student has submitted this, and now that's a pretty high similarity score. So I want to see what's going on here. So I click test student's name. I can go to their individual grades. All right, let's see. Yeah. Okay. We can see that their census activity is missing. Now this is the same view a student has. Students can see exactly this. So when a student comes in for your class, this is what they're seeing when they click grades. They don't see the outlook that we see. They don't see the categories and the columns. They don't see their peers. They just see this. So students looking at this can see that this is missing. It hasn't been graded yet. It should be given a 0 if it's missing. They can see that they handed this in late and it was out of a total of 25 points, and their originality report or their score is going to be very high. They can click it and see what they've done. We're also working on a resource through the Student Resource Center and through the Faculty Advancement Center, where proactively students and faculty can submit assignments to check plagiarism so that we're not losing these points needlessly. One missed, depending on how much you're pulling from a source, you've got one missed citation and all of a sudden you've got 30, 40% of your paper, of your facts, of your opinions come up as plagiarized. Well, it's not 100% accurate because you just didn't cite something properly to give credit where credit was due. It's not that you're trying to pass them off as your own ideas, you just made a mistake. We'd like to have that happen, or have students have the opportunity to check that before they submit something so that it doesn't come up and instructors don't go, well, it's 40 or 50% plagiarized, or in this case 100% because it's a paper that exists. It's just a template that I was using to illustrate this. Well, 100% similarity report is shocking and is sure to get a 0 from any instructor, and then a contact of, hey, hold on a second, 100% of this was submitted by someone at Indiana State, and obviously this is private content. Somebody has submitted this somewhere else. So those kind of situations are perfect. Students can see this stuff. We can see this stuff from either our gradebook view, or we can see it from their gradebook view. So this is what students would see. They can see the submission. They can see any of our comments that we've made. If we've made comments, let's say, on this grade here, I'll go back to this assignment and I can see their submission, and I wanted to add a comment. Okay. Now I've set that comment. And now when I go back to, as a student, I'm coming back to here, I can see, oh wait, there's a comment here. And if I click it, it expands. They can see what my comment was. They can respond to it by going back to it, or they can just send me a message. Whatever instructions I put in that comment are right there with that. And it doesn't always have to be negative. Again, we've all encountered it. It's always good to put positive encouragement in there. I had a student recently who submitted a recipe, a phenomenal recipe for Puerto Rican rice. And I tried it out. It was absolutely delicious. So I was able to put that in there and thanked her for the menu addition and thanked her for broadening my culinary horizons.
We ordered the sandwich already.
Hold on, there we go. So we can always put positive encouragement in there, as well as sort of those moments of improvement. And that's how we help students, from point to point, feedback to feedback point, grow. Obviously, we put that in there, and that's what we're doing already. We're saying, great submission, or hey, we missed a few references in APA format here. We can refer them back to other services, or we can, give them encouragement for constructive criticism and feedback for future submissions. And they'll be able to see that. That stays here in the grade book. It stays in their record for the class. So they know how they can build from class to class. So very in-depth view on grading and the student view, the speed grader. It's fantastic. So button that indicates submit grades to banner. That unfortunately is an area that needs a bit of technological improvement from our IT team, and I know that they're working on that. We're working to make it much more seamless when submitting grades. Unfortunately, right now, submitting grade spanner, and this is on for specifically this class because I was bench testing that. That should be being turned off in other instances of classes. If it's not, my apologies, we'll get that addressed, because there was the hope that through an LTI we could submit grades directly from Canvas to Banner. We'll be able to do that as we approach anthology, reducing the reliance on web for faculty. I know that's an area that can be tough to get into, and even from my own experience as an instructor, it can be tough to have Canvas open in one window, web for faculty open in another, and the PDF that I have to fill out open in 3 different spots. We're trying and working hard to develop a better system for that, a more streamlined system, especially given the tight turnaround time that we all have. Classes end on Saturday, grades are due on Monday. We acknowledge that and understand that, and we're working to get a better system to connect all systems so that when we make a change in Canvas, final grade or a midterm grade, that can port right over to Banner or whatever our SIS is. It'll be Anthology moving forward. As for your own rubrics, we're really relying more on the institutional rubrics. That's going to standardize things across the board, make sure that the data that we're getting on student performance is clear and concise and measurable across all course outcomes and program outcomes, which the deans are reworking now and reconnecting and reorganizing the program and course outcomes, and we're tying rubrics to those outcomes. So students would be able to see, well, why am I doing this assignment? I don't understand how this gets me any closer. Well, it's very easy to see when you have that tied to an outcome. As for rubrics being uploaded in the class, if you're creating assignments, they are not. You would have to tie those to the rubrics to the assignment. If you're teaching an online English or online Spanish, because those courses are already built out a bit more, the rubrics are already tied to the assignments. Tying a rubric to an assignment is fairly simple. The rubrics exist in the system for us to review. So this is the rubric for essays. We're going to have limited rubrics in here because of the number of assignments that I've added in here. It's not a live course. It's not a real course with real assignments. But as we go through this assignment here, it's the right course. There we go. When we edit, okay. Oh, it's not going to let me do that because I don't have students in here. And do that in the master course. Find a good example to show off how we tie those rubrics to assignments. Here we go. Okay. Perfect. There we go. All right. Here's our rubric. As you can see, it's already tied to the assignment. When this was created. This isn't a live class. That is unfortunate. Okay. We'll have to do a bit more. That'll be in future trainings. I've got to find a quote unquote live class where I can have a live assignment and add a rubric to, without jumping into a class that's already created. So we'll have to do a bit more on how to tie rubrics. However, from a process standpoint, when you're editing the assignment, you're selecting the rubric from the pool of rubrics that exist in Canvas. So the institutional rubrics for essays, for any other assignment that's submitted. I'm trying to think of the other categories for assignments that are in there. There are quite a number of them, but as you're creating these assignments, you can tie those rubrics, bringing right from the institutional rubrics, so not having to recreate your own. If there are criteria that you're finding, are missing or lacking, or that you'd like to add, certainly that's a discussion to be had to add and build out the rubrics, expand them. But right now we're looking at the categories to tie them to the outcomes that these courses and programs already have. So rubrics are going to have to take a little bit more time to show off an example of how to tie those directly. I'll have to create a dummy class in here that has some students and it is more live. So my apologies for that. Let's take a look at the chat. When can you see the syllabus for different courses? For any course that you're assigned to as an instructor, the syllabus will be there when the course appears on your dashboard. So again, here I'm the instructor for this course. When it appeared on my dashboard, I clicked syllabus, and there we go. This was, I'm teaching in an online course, so this was built out a little bit more, but at a bare minimum, this right here, the syllabus copy, was available for me to grab, review, and make sure that I was tying my assignments and my requirements to that syllabus. Yes, you have a course in your dashboard that doesn't show the syllabus, course copy over hasn't started. I mentioned that starts on Monday, that we're copying over the courses for the fall session. So if it does not have a syllabus, that's not a concern just yet. That means you've been programmed in, it's there, that's great. That means the data is flowing from Banner as far as the programming and enrollment. The instructional design team is working on the other side of that to copy over from the master courses into every iteration for every single campus and make sure that the syllabus is there. So definitely a concern. Thank you for pointing that out. If, as we approach the end of next week, you still don't have a syllabus, please let your academic director know so that they can connect back to our product development team, make sure that that wasn't an oversight and that wasn't something that got missed in the copy over. All right. Let's bring up the Faculty Advancement Center for Excellence face. There we go. And here we are. So our Faculty Resource Center, this is our virtual teachers lounge. That's the way I want everyone to think of it. That this is an open area for us to share our experiences, to share our insights, our input across campuses, across modalities, on ground, online, English, Spanish, everything. Everything here is set up here to support faculty. Miss Anna Gonzalez is our director of faculty coaching, and she's been doing a great job of observations, helping the academic directors with observations and helping us to develop new skills. Faculty coaching will have a section here. Professional development sessions like this and everything that we've done previously for the last year will be in professional development. So if you missed a session, missed a workshop, you don't have to worry. They're all going to be recorded and uploaded into here, into the Faculty Advancement Center, so that you can access them at any time, rewatch sessions, watch sessions that you may have missed, brush up on any trainings. As we build out forms, for whatever use that might need to be, or any areas where you could pull from like a commons, a selection to help improve your courses, that'll be here in instructor resources. Creating the groups for our different levels, as Dr. Beans mentioned, I know we have diploma level, but that's really sort of our, I'm putting that with our undergraduate students, because our diploma students, do mirror traits of undergraduate students. So our undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral faculty, you'll have your own sections and areas and groups where you'll be able to, as contingent, discuss how are we, enriching these courses? How are we helping students to learn? How are we, really elevating these degree levels? Trainings, if there's something specific for any degree level, goes right in here. For those of you who have attended the IRB or Institutional Review Board sessions run by Professor Amilcar Jimenez, they will be here as well. If you're ever approaching a research project that requires human subjects or requires, an Institutional Review Board action, all of those documents, processes, protocols are going to be right here in the Faculty Resource Center for you. Research assistants, we also do research. We do research for our own enrichment or towards our classes. That's going to be a section here. And then technical assistance. So, how do we incorporate different elements? There's a section for instructional designers to do some additional trainings on how to put in elements to classes, or just as simple as how do I connect my OneDrive, or how do I connect my Google Drive, or how do I connect all of these things to Canvas? All of that exists here in technical assistance. Again, we're auto enrolling, so you don't need to do anything to be added to the Faculty Advancement Center for Excellence. When we've loaded everyone in, it populates right on your dashboard, and you'll be able to click through and enjoy the virtual teachers lounge, which will have, again, groups, discussions, announcements, really everything. Rather than having just email, have it here in this centralized area, keeping everything in Canvas. So while we're teaching, you'll see notifications for this. It'll be, sort of a one-stop shop rather than having to remember to check all sorts of different avenues. So everyone who is added into FACE, it will show up on your dashboard. It's an auto thing where the link is not sent out because you won't be able to access it without being enrolled into the course. So as we enroll people into the course, that will show up on your dashboard. Perfect. All right. I know we've been on for quite some time now, the full 2 hours. I'll stop sharing my screen. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to take anything. If anyone wants to unmute, feel free, put it in the chat. Stay on for a bit to give everyone an opportunity. Or if you'd just like to go enjoy your Saturday, go have some lunch, feel free to do so. The recording will be sent out, and I really appreciate everyone joining. Yes, for next week, this is the same type of training. However, it will be done in Spanish. So for anyone who felt that my limited linguistic skills were lacking, there will be a training next week in Spanish. You can always refer back to this one in English as well. Access to Canvas, if you're programmed in as an instructor for the fall PT, then you're being added to Canvas. Please try your Blackboard credentials at either under quick links for the AGMU website, go to Canvas, or go to agmu.instructure.com. And if those aren't working and you're programmed in as an instructor for the fall term, please reach out to the IT specialist for your campus. Trainings during the week. Yes, the LRCs are doing trainings during the week and additional English sessions. We've got about like 10 hours of English training as well. Those are all links that have been sent out as we've been doing them. We'll send those out again just to make sure everyone has the opportunity to review one of these sessions if you're not able to attend live, or if there's not one happening that lines up with your schedule. Where you create the virtual classroom to teach online, are we talking about doing a presentation or a class meeting online? That would be through Big Blue Button. The virtual classroom itself, the classroom exists in Canvas. And so that homepage, if you're teaching online, that homepage and all those module pages will already be built out. You can do announcements to reach your students or big blue button presentations to have sort of those live elements. Thank you, Professor Ortiz. I do hope that all of these elements work. It's been a very long year of making sure that they all function the way that they should. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But I really appreciate everyone attending the trainings and coming out to these sessions. Okay, I'll put the link for Canvas back into the chat here. The login link, that is. There we go. Again, I'll send that out with the recording of this as well. Your credentials would be the same as Blackboard, the same you use to get into your university email. But again, if those aren't working, make sure first check with your academic director, make sure that you're programmed for a course. And second, check in with the IT support specialist at your campus or our LRC team to make sure you're logging into the right spot, and we'll get that addressed. Right. Feel free to keep asking the questions in the chat. Anyone who logs off, don't worry. This is part of the recording, so these will be sent out at the start of next week in case there's a question that you missed.
Bill, Charlie Colon here.
Charlie,
How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing all right. Thank you.
I know you almost dried out from talking so much. I appreciate everything you're doing. I have another screen open on Canvas, and I don't see the face page, and my column on my left where you usually have the account dashboard courses, the menu is short.
Mhm.
Is that on purpose or is that different from yours?
The one true area, Charlie, that would be different from mine is the admin button. That's really the only area that would be just a bit different. Commons and the studio, the Canvas studio, those are areas I've not been told that we're turning those off. I know we're not utilizing them just yet. But as long as you have your account, your dashboard, your inbox, your courses, and the help icons,
That's it.
you're good. Okay, then you're all set.
Yeah, but I got two sets of classes, one that are published and one that's unpublished.
Unpublished is totally fine, especially if that's something coming up for the fall term. Unpublished is all right. That means that the data exists for you to be the instructor. That's coming from Banner. That's good. That means that's a course that you'd review essentially this week or the week following and make sure that it's that content's there, that you're able to upload anything that you're uploading into it. And then you in the driver's seat would hit publish. Anything that's published on there would be the walk to class training, something that you might be enrolled in as a student. The Faculty Advancement Center, we're rolling that out. We went through a hot debate this week on the homepage, and I'm much happier with how it looks now than what I decided on weeks ago. Dr. Jean Maripodi, our Director of Innovation, is a well adept at building in Canvas. She built a better homepage. So now that's revised. We can go through the process of auto enrolling everyone. So face should be showing up on everybody's dashboard, everyone who's in Canvas very soon. Anyone who has troubles getting into Canvas, again, no panic, no need to worry. Those things exist there. They'll be waiting for you on your dashboard as you're enrolled into them.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Have a great weekend.
Great question, Charlie. Thank you so much always for the presentation, for the back and forth, my friend.
Thank you.
We'll give it till 1:30, please, by all means. Like I said, if these questions come up, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'll put my email here in the chat. Please feel free to reach out if something occurs to you, as so often they do, moments after disconnecting from a workshop or a webinar. If something pops into your head, feel free to send it along. I may not be the person who can answer the question, but at least we'll get you in the right direction to get some resolution to figure out what's going on. Because a lot of this happens in the IT world and in the account creation world. I can facilitate certain things, but there are limits to my talents and my powers, and I'm happy to bring in other members of the team as well, just to make sure everyone has what they need. Feel free to hop off if you have no other questions. I'll keep it open till 1:30 if there's anything else that comes in while people are trying to type. I don't want to cut anyone off if you're furiously trying to type. Otherwise, feel free to log off and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you all so much for being with us from 9 o'clock this morning. Thank you again for the time, and please let us know what we can do to support the face of our wonderful institution.
I have a question in regards to the sandbox. Can we email you and get that sandbox? That's like an example, right, of
Yeah.
what a class should look like? Okay.
Absolutely, you certainly can. I'll put the requirements in there in the chat. Feel free to send me an email and we'll get that set up.
Okay, thank you.
No
Have a
problem.
good afternoon, everyone.
Enjoy. There we go.
Mhm.
there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and end the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Very much appreciate the attendance. And please, again, any questions come up, feel free to reach out. We want to support however we can. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
You
Bye.
too. Okay.
Thanks, Bill. Nice weekend.
Bye.
Bye.